Hello, outdoorsmen, survivalists, preppers, prepared thinkers. I wanted to share a little video with you guys about my ultra lightweight, super efficient water purification system. To my knowledge, this will protect you in most North American situations. I don't know that would help you in other places in the world where there may be more heavy metals and or pollutants like pesticides in the water. But for North America, this is not a bad deal. I think if you added a carbon filter to this, you may be okay in a wider scope of the world. The system itself revolves around these parts that you see here. They are very common. This is the Sawyer mini water filter. To this I have just added a little green electrical stopper just to keep water from pouring out of it into my pack. I have a length of food grade water hose and then a quick disconnect adapter here. Like so, that snaps in, typical on most water bladder systems. These white components that you see, I purchased them from US Plastics, and I don't know the exact part numbers. I'm very sorry for that. I believe there's a guy on YouTube with a similar system who listed them, and that's how I acquired them. I bought a bag of them and I've had them for a while. So anyway, of course, so how it would work is this. Okay, so you'll see I have a smart water bottle here. The smart water bottle has the quick sip or sports cap or whatever they call it, where you have the smaller opening. This smaller opening fits directly into the Sawyer Mini. Okay, so or they mesh up nice enough that you can back flush with this bottle of clean water. So if you've got a bottle of clean water, you can connect your Sawyer. It's hard to do this with one hand. Even if they're just held in place tight enough, you may have a bit of leakage, but that will, you squeeze that bottle and that will shoot the water out the other end opposite to the flow, essentially allowing you to no longer carry that syringe that's part of the Sawyer Mini program. And I don't like carrying the syringe because it's just an extra piece of equipment that's very specialized, and I just don't want that with me. Whereas with a smart water bottle, I can use that for hydration, I can mix drinks in it, I can do whatever, and I can use it to back flush my Sawyer Mini water filter. So that's a pretty commonly known thing in the hiking community and on YouTube. The one component that I don't have right now, because it's on order with Amazon, it has not arrived yet, is a water bottle or a water bag, a dry bag. These dry bags that you see, I have found through past projects, because I have built one of these before. It's not currently with me though. It's with my canoe gear in Ontario, Canada. I'm on the west coast, but right there is what I use typically, the UST dry bag, and they're sold on Amazon for, you know, like 14 bucks Canadian, probably less in the States. They have a nice flat bottom on them, which allows me then to cut a very small hole in the bottom of the bag. And if you can imagine, I would take that dry bag, whether it be the 2 liter, 3 liter, 5 liter, 10 liter, 20 liter, whatever, they all come in different sizes, down to the water source, fill it up, bring it up, hang it on a tree or a branch or whatever, and inside that I have this cap. This is from the US Plastics Corporation. The cap, I had to drill the opening here. You can see little remnants of the plastic where I drilled it away, because you want it to be, of course, going right through, right, for the water. So if you can imagine, my hand is the bag here. Then you've got the cap inside. You've got an O-ring which seats up against the bag. You've got this part. This is the male part of the quick connect. The male part screws into the hole you made in the bag, and it has an O-ring here. These are 1/2-inch O-rings. I just picked them up at a plumbing supply store. So then you've got an O-ring on each side, and this screws into this cap, and so the bag would be in the middle of these two O-rings. And as you tighten that up, don't over tighten it so you distort the O-rings, but as you tighten it up, you're gonna have a nice solid seal. And I have built these bags twice already, and I have never had a leaking problem with these very same O-rings and very same setup. So once you've done that, and that's the most disconcerting part, cutting that little tiny hole, and I do mean cut it small. You want to cut it small, and you just kind of want to thread this part into it and then let that screw onto that with the O-rings in the middle. So your bag is right between those two black O-rings, right there, and that will tighten down on it. Then you've got this male connector, and the nice thing about this specific male connector is that when it is not hooked up to the female, water cannot flow out of it. So when I'm down at the lake, I can fill the bag up, and out of the bottom of the bag, no water will drip from here until I connect it to this. Once I connect it to that, water will flow, and it will flow out the hose and through the Sawyer Mini, just like that. I can connect it, but I don't want to set the phone down on you. You get the gist of it. Now I've got a bag of water hanging from a tree with the hose that you can see there, and going down into my container, whether it be a smart water bottle or a cooking pot or a water bladder, whatever, filling it up with drinkable potable water that I collected from a water source locally here in Canada, or the States, I would imagine. If you're away from cities, these are pretty safe. I've been using the Sawyer Minis for a long time, and I have never fallen ill from drinking water from lakes, rivers, streams, or anything. So I'm pretty impressed with this Sawyer Mini for sure. Now there's a VersaFlow filter, and I've done experiments with the VersaFlow, and it does in fact seems to me to shoot water out a little bit quicker. So if you're concerned with speed or the quickness at which you can fill your container, then you might want to go with the VersaFlow. I myself am fine with the Sawyer because it's literally hang it and let gravity do the work. And that is fantastic because then I can go do other things that need to be done in a camping or survival situation. And I can tell you that I have supplied water for 4 guys for 3 days with just this. And you know, we had to wait for the gravity to take its place a few times, but for the most part we were set up with water day in and day out. I'd literally go down in the morning, set it up, hang it from a tree, say, hey guys, bring your containers over, and just start filling containers with gravity. No work. I mean, I've always been a user of the pump systems, like most recently the Hiker Pro, which I think is a fantastic water filter, but it's a little bit bulky. And if you're going for lightweight, I mean, this is certainly more lightweight than most things out there, and minimal, you know, size-wise. So with that said, I mean, you can use this filter to hydrate your whole party, essentially, if time is not a huge factor. So there you go. That's the system. I wish I had the bag here right now to kind of show you guys exactly what the deal is. the process, but I think I explained it well enough. And once you sort of figure that part out, and there's a couple good videos on YouTube that people have made that are absolutely easy to follow. And so there's sort of what it would look like. That would connect there. That's where your bag sits, so that's your connection point. And then your hose. I usually go with kind of a, this is maybe a foot long hose. I do have longer sections, but I have found that when you're out in wilderness and you hang it from a tree, you don't want to have to reach way up the tree and have all this hose hanging down. So I tend to go a little shorter with the hose, and that way I can just wrap a rope around the tree and connect it to my bag, and just have this at the right level so it can fill any container. And at one point I was trying to use, I don't know if you can see it in there, but it's like an L-shaped bottle connector that would screw on the top of here. But what happens is you create like a negative pressure situation and the water just doesn't flow very well. So I'm just opting to leave it wide open and let it free flow into, you know, whatever container I'm filling, whether it's a beer bottle or a water bottle or a water bladder bag, what have you, even a pot or pan, any of those things. So I hope I explained this well to you. I don't have a link for any of this stuff. I'm sorry. I know there are YouTube videos out there where they give, I believe, these part numbers because that's how I found them. And then, of course, the Sawyer Mini you can just buy on Amazon for like 20-30 bucks. And these smart water bottles, I know in Canada for a long time, we could not find these quick, I don't know what they're called, sports cap lids on the smart water bottles, but they have started to make their way in, and that is fantastic because that is what I use to back flush my Sawyer Mini. And I'll tell you, they made up well, and that's all you need is the water rushing through the back side, right? So you squeeze the bottle, it shoots water out the wrong way, and that's how you unclog the Sawyer Mini. So I don't need to bring the syringe with me. I've got everything I need right there, plus a water bag, which unfortunately I don't have right now. But aside from that, there's the system. Pretty minimal, pretty light, and good luck to you guys. I hope this helped. Please feel free to reach out to me with questions. I can do my best to answer them. I really appreciate you watching, and have a good day.